Welcome to the Forsaken Podcast. This is Rygo here with Zrothum
Hello?
and Gifnab.
Hi, guys.
So, I guess what we're going to talk about today, folks.
Yeah, I think that was the hot button topic there for a while in the general chat was people maybe not understanding or could have some benefit from better understanding. So, I'm just going to use that poll that like Gifnab had posted as an example where it asked the player base to rate the classes that they thought could best use some rework. And so, and I know this isn't indicative of every decision that gets made, but in specific for that one though. So when the staff looks at that, how are they gauging that based on what kind of criteria you guys are looking for changes that may get made or even just discussed about, and where does that go from there?
Typically, so the staff usually, whenever we're talking about changes, Gifnab's forum post beside, whenever we're looking at changes, basically we vote on every change that we're talking about. Well, most changes that we're talking about making. Some changes are like bug fixes and things like that. We don't actually vote on those for obvious reasons. But if we're wanting to change something like, I don't know, it could be as simple as changing an item or maybe a race. We have a special channel here on the Discord that we actually all vote on every change. So as far as the forum post that Gifnab put out, I believe that was some time ago, if I recall correctly. I don't remember specifically why Gifnab did that. Maybe he can answer.
So that post was put out to basically gauge where players felt like things were at. We were hearing a lot of player sentiment on different classes. We were deep in the throes of the ongoing conversation about monks and battle mages. And so we really just, we wanted to give an opportunity to, and I say we, like I didn't just decide to put that up, but I wanted to give an opportunity to people to say what they were interested in seeing, and to hear what their priorities were. And we had a decent response rate to it. I know that there has been some pushback following that poll, indicating that people feel like we haven't really been listening to it. But as I pointed out today, we're working on projects that align pretty closely with the results from that poll, and we plan to make some changes that hopefully align with people's priorities. We don't always have exactly the same priorities, and we see more of the behind the scenes and from I just think we have a better view of the big picture. So when we make a decision to add extra weight to bump thieves up from third on the poll to first on the poll, there is some discretionary, I don't know, I guess judgment that's used there to make those decisions. And I've explained a couple times why we made that particular one. So really what it boils down to is trying to balance the priorities that players state they have publicly versus the things that players don't state publicly that also bring important issues to the forefront.
Yeah, and just for those who may be listening who haven't actually seen Gifnab say the reason why Thief was chosen, that's because we felt like perhaps some other classes might need something, especially obviously the player base thinks that, considering they voted other things as priority over Thief. But with Thief, the reason why we went with that is because of the skill steal and also pry, and seeing many people over the years raging and quitting because they're getting items stolen or they're getting items pried, and they really have no way to even retaliate against a thief who just wants to hide and play the troll game. So, seeing as so many people quit due to that mechanic, that's kind of why we wanted to focus on that, and it was higher up in the list as well.
I think too, right? Like there had already been a lot of pretty well rounded discussion on how thieves could be changed. When you look at something like a battle mage or monk that were both voted higher, I haven't really seen as many well like fleshed out concepts on what could be done to help those. And that is a process for anyone who hasn't ever designed anything or tried to rebalance something. It's not as easy as like let's just change battle mage and next week there's some brand new exciting version of battle mage. Like there's a lot that goes into the thought and process behind something like that. So I'd imagine, from the stats viewpoint, I would think at least that plays a factor too. Like how quick can we actually make a move on something?
Well, and there's also, I mean, we're really comparing apples to oranges because we're talking about two different areas of impact for the game and the community. With battle mages and monks, we're talking about classes that the player base feels are underutilized, and they feel that because the skill set or whatever doesn't lend itself to being successful or competitive. Um, but at the end of the day, people not playing battle mages and monks, people underutilizing battle mages and monks, doesn't damage the community and it doesn't damage the game environment. But on the flip side, with thieves, the issue is not underutilization. It's not, or maybe it is partially underutilization, but it's not that they're not competitive or that they don't have a kit that allows them to engage meaningfully in the PK aspect of the game. It's that when they do engage meaningfully in the PK aspect of the game, people, people get upset because it's a very quick way, one of the few ways remaining to undo what is seen as hours of someone's effort and time that they put into getting a complete set or farming a bag full of consumables or whatever. And none of us are 15 to 18 years old anymore, and have unlimited time to play the game. So if somebody has their 3 or 4 pieces of gear and their bag full of consumables stolen by a thief, that might have been all their playtime for the week, and it just got undone in a 2 round lag command.
Yeah,
Um,
makes it kind of not worthwhile to people to spend time on a game where they're punished so easily. I mean, at
yeah.
least
So
if it's like a PK and you get items looted, you are involved in that PK, and for the most part, as long as you're prepared, you're not going to die right away unless, maybe you're Rinsvert, but otherwise you should be good to go.
Yeah, I think the other part of it too is just player base needs to temper their expectations a little bit. Just because something gets voted number one on a poll, doesn't have a direct correlation to a what's going to be implemented, and b like Gifnab alluded to earlier, there is a bigger picture to look at. And I think just the community itself needs to understand that this notion that their voices aren't being heard or that the community as a whole is being disregarded, I think is pretty ludicrous. I think there's been some big strides made in the recent weeks or months, for just better communication and transparency. So, I mean, you two being on staff, if there was a message you could give to the community regarding kind of that whole situation, what would it be?
I would say we definitely have a lot of conversation about people and their suggestions. And while they don't always get implemented, we do always at least try to talk about them. Obviously, you know, sometimes whenever you're talking about Discord, things can get left behind. I mean, it's scrolling text, so
Yeah.
maybe no one's paying attention whenever they're talking about it. Maybe it is, and maybe just get lost in conversation and it doesn't get picked up and then brought to the staff. But we have so much discussion every single day on Discord about various things. I mean, the amount of stuff that we talk about, so it's really hard to keep up with. And so yeah, some things are going to fall through the cracks. I mean, that's why we always say, hey, if you have ideas, post them in prayer, because especially with Discord, we may miss out. We may not be paying attention, and even if we are paying attention, we may forget. There's a lot of stuff going on. So that's why it's best if you do have you know something that you feel legitimately should be changed or altered or anything like that, you should definitely bring it up on prayer, because that, in my opinion, is the best way. And you'll probably get better feedback, a little more thought out than just this is not going to work.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, it's not just like a procedural thing that we're asking you guys to do. It's actually a conversation that we have amongst ourselves fairly often. That we need to post things on the Immortal forums, rather than just discussing them on Discord. Ryga mentioned that we have a voting channel. We have an Immortal forum that allows us to have those discussions outside of prayer posts and outside of public posts. Because at the end of the day, we've got Immortals that are spread across time zones, have very different work schedules, very different personal schedules, and so in order for all of our 10 Immortals, I think we have maybe 11, um, to have the opportunity to chime in, um, we need to we need to have that post that sits on the forum, as opposed to just getting pushed out of our im chat as well. So it's not just something we're asking the players to do, it's something we try to hold ourselves to as well.
Yeah, I think people would do well to understand and see it from that perspective, that Discord it's so easily accessible, and that's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because there is just so much that goes on. If you don't check the Discord for a couple days, God knows what you could have missed. That does suck, and it can be frustrating, I'd imagine, for people who aren't on Discord every day. And so I think that just reinforces the notion that if there is something that you want to really put out there and have it be visible, especially from the staff, that the forum is kind of the way to go. It's been said plenty of times about prayer forum, and even just the fact that we reopened the question and answers channel in Discord kind of lends credence to the fact that, especially in FL discussion, just it's going a mile a minute, and things are so easily lost in there. If you expect your one sentence contribution to an idea in Discord to be seen and heavily debated and weighed in on, it's probably not your best avenue.
Yeah. And here's the thing also, sometimes, earlier seemed like there was some hard feelings about, someone's change didn't get put in and then someone else's did just off of a whim. And as far as that's concerned, sometimes it's just a matter of convenience and
Yeah.
just being at the right place at the right time and saying the right thing when the right person's paying attention.
Yep.
So, I mean, that to me, that situation was literally just that. And some things are easier than others to, you know, make fixes or make changes. So
Yep.
it's a lot of circumstance to it. So that's again why I always say just go to prayer, because you're probably gonna get the best quality answers anyways, I hope.
For sure. Yeah.
And if you want to have that discussion on prayer just with the staff, or if that discussion involves your character specifically, definitely do it on prayer. If you want to engage the player base in that discussion, like happens on Discord pretty often, we have a forum for that too. We have the ideas and suggestions forum. It doesn't get used all that often, so the chance that your post is likely to be buried is pretty low. So take advantage of it.
Post it on forum and then post the link to the forum in Discord. I've done that a couple times now.
Yeah, that's kind of how we do with the votes. We talk about them on the forum, and then whenever we're ready to vote, we'll set up the vote.
For context, yeah.
I say we, I mean Gifnab. But yeah, but we post it on the thing for context.
Definitely not me. I can't see that channel anymore.
Well,
Yeah, as the
Gifnab does all the work, so give him the muffins.
Aw, I love muffins.
So I know Ollie said he wasn't going to be, this won't be uploaded in time, but was there anything you wanted to share or say about some new content that may or may not be coming soon?
No.
Thank you.
Allow me to revise my statement. Yes.
Please. Would you like to do that now?
There is content coming soon.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, the continuation of the global storyline about the latest assault on all that is good and right in the world is going to be coming soon. And by soon, probably maybe this weekend.
Probably before the podcast even airs. So
yeah, that's true. If you're not in this channel right now, then this information is to you.
A sneak peek for those in attendance.
Which is a great reason why you should listen to our impromptu, unannounced podcasts.
Shame on you for not being here, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just obviously the second drop out of at least a couple more that's going to happen this year. So yeah, there is more stuff to look forward to.
There was a lot of interest when some of the little spoilers were getting thrown around about some new dragons that might be coming. How's work going on that front?
Oh God, what have you done?
The work is coming slowly.
Would you like to go back to my original answer of no?
No, I mean that works.
No, the work is coming along slowly. I was actually on vacation this week, and really, honestly, I don't know where Gifnab is on his part of the area, but my part of the area is descriptions, and I just need to get off my ass and write them, and that's really what it boils down to.
You know, you opened up a good can of worms there. So, Zoichan recently had posted in the Discord outsourcing some help for descriptions and some more of the more tedious builder work. Is that something that may happen more in the future, or was that just a necessity for current projects?
It's actually completely unrelated to the project that Rygo was just talking about.
Yeah.
But it may happen.
See, I thought it was a direct relation to that. I thought, Rygo was lazy, and so you guys had to turn.
Oh, make no mistake.
So Rygo I'm lazy. I'm lazy, but I'm also a tyrant, so no one is going to be touching my area. Exactly. But as far as writing descriptions for other areas and things coming up in the future, I don't personally see a problem with that. In fact, a lot of times, if people want to build, it's bringing up a area, it's writing a few room descriptions, maybe some mob descriptions, posting it up on forums, on the prayer forum, and if you have an idea and a vision, I mean, things have been turned down before, but obviously it needs to be in the vein of FL, and because there's a bunch of stock areas. I mean, look at a stock area and say, hey, we can rewrite this, and how can I help if that's something that you want to do? As far as like helping on areas that others are working on, I mean, maybe that's an option too. You just got to make sure that the Immortal staff knows that, that's something that you're interested in doing.
Sure. And I think harkening back to the first kind of topic we touched on, just a word of advice to anyone who feels like they have somehow been slighted on their idea or their desired contribution to the game or what have you, is just to realize that we are a very, I'm not gonna say large, but we've got a decent sized community, right? And it's pretty diverse. And your idea or your suggestion is not going to be it every single time. Not to say that your idea wasn't good or your contribution didn't have some merit, but don't get so discouraged that it becomes an actual issue. Just keep offering your suggestions and your insight, because that's what the community is all about, is the sharing of ideas and conversations that we have. But I think anyone, there's been a lot of, I guess, negativity in the recent weeks stemming from those kind of situations, and I hate to see it because having been here for 20 years, I can have some empathy with people who might feel slighted, but at the same time, you got to step back and just realize that it's a big game. We don't run it; the staff does, and as long as they're remaining open to our suggestions and feedback, that's as much as any game can hope for, I think.
Yeah, I would say the staff definitely. We want to hear ideas. We want to hear suggestions. If people feel slighted, it's not intentional. We don't intend to make anyone feel slighted. I mean, we are still humans, and we still do get into, I don't know, we still get into tussles ourselves, and sometimes we have to check one another. But it's definitely not the intent to slide anyone. So that should probably be said.
Good.
Except me trying to slight Rygo. That happens.
Yeah.
Like when I mentioned that my part of that area has been done for 9 months.
You think it's done. It's not done. I assure you. I have more ideas.
Oh boy. I'm sorry, folks. Rygo's ideas are a blight upon your 60 lives, so enjoy.
Yeah, I'm hoping the area's a lot of fun myself. We've kind of had a bunch of ideas and gone back and forth, and I don't know how many progs there are in it already, but it's probably quite a few. So eventually it will get released. Hopefully I have more time this month. I actually, like I said, been on vacation, so, and that's just my excuse for this month.
We're going to give you a one-time pass, I think, on that.
I'm pretty sure he said in a public forum that it would be done by March 1st. So
I
he's
did,
got
but then
3
no one
days.
responded, so I felt like that was a pass.
So, yeah. What else you got? Since you're apparently interviewing Rygo and I this
Yeah.
week.
I guess that works.
Is that how this is turned into?
I guess we can talk about, let's see, it was suggested earlier to talk about monthly polls.
Yes.
Monthly
So,
polls.
in my brief time behind the curtain, I think Grim Reefer had suggested or put to a vote, maybe just gauging the Immortal staff feeling on the subject. And I think it was HB Willie who started a monthly poll in the forums. But I think there was some discussion going on about maybe trying to find a way to incorporate that into Discord. And if I remember right, the votes looked kind of favorable. So what can you guys tell us?
Really, what it comes down to is logistics. We aren't going to introduce a system to do that until we're sure that it's not going to be a system where people's votes are identifiable. We've talked about a few different bot options that could allow us to do that effectively, but it's just challenging to make sure that it works correctly in this interface. Like, we could throw up a poll channel today and have some functionality to it, but is it really A, going to serve the purpose, and is it B, going to not reveal things that people don't want revealed. So I think ultimately that if we can figure out a way to do it, we'll do it. It's just getting over that hump and
Yeah, and not to
making sure that whatever solution we come up with works.
sure, and not to put you on the spot, but I guess when I hear this, I think, what about taking 3 or 4 random people, well, not random, but if they would agree, because like you said, the main concern would be to not let slip any sort of anonymous or just anonymity period, let it slip for anyone who doesn't want that. So how about finding a handful of volunteers to run like a mock poll and kind of iron out those kind of concerns before making it official?
I mean, I think the thing is that we're not at a point right this second where we even have an idea for the right tool to use. So like we're not at the testing of the tool phase yet. We're still at the finding of the tool phase, and admittedly, it's probably a fairly low priority item.
Sure, I get
Um,
that.
so, certainly, if somebody wants to volunteer to, you know, research Discord bots and figure out what might be the right tool to use, um, then that's certainly a discussion that we can have, and we can certainly review whatever comes out of that. But as it is, um, Rygo doesn't even have time to not write descriptions, much less
Mm,
search for Discord bots. So
I can see the dilemma.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You could also, I don't know. I mean, we could always use the forum. I mean, as it was used before and as it's being used today,
Yeah.
as far as people just putting their names and then, maybe, I don't know, you come up with a list of stuff, keep a list, someone keeps a list, I don't know. And then at the end of the year, for like Hall of Fame. But the problem is it's user participation. So one month we might have 5 people post, and one month we might have one. And I think that's what eventually killed it off. What completely was just like one person posted, and there was nothing else.
Nothing. Yeah.
And so it's just about. I mean, so there's kind of an ebb and flow in FL to where sometimes there's a lot of people playing, sometimes there's none playing at all. Like you'll see 1 or 2 on, and so you know, and that goes through phases as well where more people will be on or less will be on at certain times. You just never know. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick a system to really, I mean, track who should go into the Hall of Fame or who's, like monthly polls and things like that. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, that in itself is just, you know, there's so many candidates, and what's the criteria, and what truly makes someone Hall of Fame worthy? I mean, is it PK record? Is it role play? Is it a mixture of both? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the players also don't see, obviously journals and
Hmm.
some notes and things like that, role play logs. So I
I
mean,
think the Hall of Fame predates even like journals existing, does it not?
it does, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know, just deciding what criteria would get people into the Hall of Fame today. It I mean, there's a lot of stuff that would have to go into it.
All right. Well, unless either of you have anything, I'm at a loss of further discussion.
No, I mean, I think all of my normal sarcasm and joking aside, I think that we've got some exciting content coming out over the next couple of weeks and months. Some of it coming out over the next couple hours slash day slash weekend. Um, so there's lots of good stuff that has been coming out and lots of good stuff to look forward to. Um, he says self-servingly, patting himself on the back. Um, and our team has done a really good job of hopefully creating stuff that you guys will enjoy. So
And hopefully not murdering newbies. This
hopefully
time.
that too, and crashing the mud and
Yeah.
doing all kinds of fun stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's sometimes it's a little bit of roll of the dice when we start porting stuff over. Most of the time, it's not too bad, but with new things comes some uncertainty sometimes.
it's a very nice way of putting it. Thank you.
It is.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So if everything goes smoothly and you enjoy everything, credit can be attributed to it's GIFNAB, and if you hate it or it breaks the mud or it's generally just bad and unenjoyable, then credit can go to ZOICHAN.
Noted.
Alrighty.
And
Well,
I think Rygo,
anything
you're
else,
singing us a
folks?
song.
No clue how the little ditty went, so have fun, folks.
Thank you all for listening to our podcast. We hope you like to hear us talk about stuff. Zrothum and Rygo and all of our friends. We're sorry, but this podcast has to end.